Welcome to team meeting number 83. And today, in today's team meeting, we're going to be discussing. We have some great news from two of our faculty members. We have some faculty onboarding numbers, and we're working on new web pages for the marketplace. And we're going to tell you all kinds of things about that as well. But Rob, what's this great news that we have about the faculty? We're going to be discussing. We have some great news from two of our faculty. Sorry about that.
No problem. So this weekend we had our first faculty wedding that I was able to attend. Michael Abrams lives in Shelburne, and he is a faculty member who has developed a course on sustainability and is offering that on our marketplace and teaching. And Michael invited me to his wedding, and so it was a great ceremony in the town hall, and then a wonderful reception at La Villa, this nice Italian restaurant, which is a couple of miles from the center of town. And we wish Michael and his bride many happy years together. And it was really fun because, I haven't been to an event with another faculty member. There are a few living in Vermont, but it was it was just great to see and really nice to be included. So thanks a lot, Michael, for doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really one of the first events that we've done now with a faculty member.
I have a picture, but I definitely want to get Michael's permission before posting it. So it's it's great. There were about 25 people in attendance. It was just a lovely wedding. And another really great piece of information from a faculty member is Stephen Hausknecht. And I'm probably mispronouncing his name because I have not spoken to him. We've just been communicating via email. He is healthy after recovering from surgery that happened several weeks ago that he emailed me about. So we just want to send him, a quick recovery, and we're excited to have him back as a faculty member building courses in the next month or two. So two really good stories, and we're sending our positive vibes to both of them. So a different little beginning to a team meeting than we've had. It's nice to see the different things with our developing community and interacting and back and forth. So let's talk about faculty onboarding numbers. Before we talk about the faculty onboarding numbers, last week, Daniel, we chatted a little bit about it. What are the things for you that are going well and the things that aren't going so well in terms of faculty onboarding, other than my inability to reset passwords, which we're going to deal with in the closed session of the meeting?
There's actually everything is going reasonably well with the faculty onboarding. Of course, with the amount of people that were now intensively guiding, especially the first step, because the first step just requires so many steps before you can get somebody up and running by themselves, so that you only need to facilitate them occasionally. Other than that, I think it's going quite well. I think we're getting people up and running at a reasonable rate. We missed one or two updates, and we've missed one or two things that we could have probably done a lot better. Some things that we've noticed that also with the changeover from the old CRM to the new CRM. For me, some things have been unclear, and probably for other people, for you, some things have been we've been changing it so it actually fits our needs more than much more, which is good, but it also means there's a learning curve to that as well from our side. So that's also been less than helpful, but
yeah, but it's going to take a little bit to work out the glitches in the system.
Exactly.
And that's totally okay. Last week we onboarded four different faculty members, and we've even signed a couple of contracts last night and over the weekend. So that's going really well. Again, the number of meetings, my days are getting chock full of faculty, support meetings, and also the, answering a lot of questions about academic freedom, what people can create, and also working with the Canvas course shell. What I'm finding especially is that faculty really want the free video and audio recordings. So spending time with them on Google Hangouts Plus, so they can figure out how to have a course discussion. And then also one of the things that's great about Canvas is embedded in the LMS is a video recording function, so that you can respond verbally and with a video to discussion tabs, or even create a lecture just using that. Although I really do suggest people use Google Hangouts Plus and share screen, have their slides, talk, and then it automatically gets recorded to YouTube. So those little pieces are interesting, and it's just fun to again be talking with people, with human beings, rather than just spending time with the email interactions and all of that.
Yeah, and I see there's also lots of possibilities. I mean, with the Google Hangout and with a lot of these things, there's lots of possibilities to improve the experience and to improve it for the faculty members. But at the moment, of course, we can't make it amazing. We're using the tools that we have, the free tools that there are, so we can actually make it easy for them to do what they need to do, and at a later stage we can always look at improving the experience and making it easier for people to integrate it if they're having trouble in some way. We'll make it easier for them. So it's always good. Anything that we're doing, we need your feedback as well. So very important that you tell us if you're having trouble with something. If you're not having trouble with something, you think something's fantastic and we don't need to help you with it. It's also good to know. And
Yep. And a little bit about, so this week, sort of my goals in terms of, I'll be doing a lot of now course conversion into our catalog, which we use as a working space on Podio, which is our project management system. And so we'll have a much more updated catalog that we can use to then create index pages and new web pages for the internet, as we are constantly tweaking and revising the marketplace and how people sign up for classes and such. So in addition to the faculty onboarding, that's what I'm going to spend my time this week, and also Thanksgiving week doing. And hopefully we will have something to show you guys probably in 2 weeks, and we can go over the new stuff. That is the goal. We'll see what happens. Okay. Anything you want to go over, Daniel, in terms of stuff that's happened, with the tech?
No, not really. We've been having some hiccups lately, so I've been doing a lot of investigating to discover what it is, trying to make sure, because most important part, of course, and we're going to get into this in a minute as well, the most important part of everything is that people are able to log onto their courses, and students are able to log onto the course on Canvas. So with this, what we're going to be discussing with the marketplace changes and the new web pages for marketplace, we're of course going to, the whole login system is going to be remain reasonably the same, and we're just going to be migrating, say, the pages themselves into a new system, into a system whereby it's easy to share it and easier to get your word out, easy to collect information on potential students, or to collect information that students would want to share. So it's a lot of things that we're going to solve issues with this new change.
You want to go to the article?
I didn't see that you posted an article. Oh, the crisis of you're going to if you give me a quick review. I'm going to.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick. I'll give you a quick summary. What I'm going to do is screen share this, and then we can talk about it. Uh-oh. You still there, Daniel?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. It's probably my hamsters in my computer. 1 second here. Do you see the the cover that says "A Crisis Our Universities Deserve"?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so this is an opinion piece that got published in Sunday's New York Times in the Weekend Review, and it's by Ross Dohat, who talks about the real change that has happened at universities since the 60s, and the fact that for him, this crisis that is occurring on campuses all over the U.S. in terms of protesting, all kinds of different things, racism, student loans, etc. They're really talking about how the university has lost its sort of, its way, that it no longer, the university system no longer stands for much. What it seems to have done is sort of created a warmed over, Rumspringa, as he uses in this phrase, place where you can't really have debate, where offense, any kind of a speech that people find offensive, is just not allowed. And so there's a lot of self-censorship that's happening. So one of the great quotes is, the politically correct piece, political correctness in terms of being used as a way to engage in a certain amount of self-censorship has basically made it so that these universities, again, there's no sort of cultural foundation or basis that they stand for. And let me read a little section here. It's true of the working class and minority students who expected to lend a patina of diversity to a campus organized to deliver the goods to rich kids whose parents pay full freight. And then it's true of the rich girl who discovers the same university that promised her a carefree Rumspringa, justified on high feminist principle, of course, doesn't want to hear a word about what happened to her at a frat party over the weekend. The protesters may be obnoxious enemies of free debate, in other words, but they aren't wrong to smell the rot around them. And they are vindicated every time they push and an administrator caves. It's proof that they have a monopoly on moral spine and that any small L liberal alternative is simply hollow. Or great Walter put it, say what you want about the tenets of political correctness, dude, at least it's an ethos. That might turn out to be the only epitaph for the modern university anybody wants to write. So, what we're seeing again is, what does the education, a higher education, stand for? And what is it really doing? What is it doing in terms of our society, in terms of the cost? But what also is it doing in terms of, is it delivering the classic liberal arts education? Liberal arts meaning the education that frees people, or is it just something that is a empty commercial enterprise? So it's a great critique. I suggest you read it. I didn't necessarily do an incredible amount of justice to it, but check it out and let us know what you think. Because
there've been a lot of good critiques like this on it. I read a recent one, I think today in the Guardian, which is, or perhaps it was this weekend in the Guardian, saying that a lot of universities are places where critical thinking stands in front, and so a lot of this, say, the censorship of certain people whose ideas are abhorrent, is what it does stand in the way of somewhat of critical thinking. And you have a lot of arguments to say whether you're if you want to learn about things, you can't learn about them if you can't hear them. So it's very and I mean I agree with the tenets of the tenets that we need to be able to hear what people have to say, to be able to criticize what they're saying. I mean, if we don't know what they're saying, how in God's name are we going to be able to say, take the moral high ground, or give them good critique?
Yeah, and I mean, there's that the articles on trigger words, and also on microaggressions. In other words, that whole notion of offense, that if something is offensive, it should be sort of shunted aside or not engaged with. That's a little bit of that's not a nuanced critique of what's happening at these universities, but it is in some ways accurate that the censorship that is occurring at the American university system is huge. And where is academic freedom? Where is the notion that there is the agora, a place where everyone comes and voices their ideas, and the students themselves support the teachers who they want to learn from. And there's, not a neo-capitalist exploitive market, but there is a marketplace of ideas, a place where people can, pick and choose what it is they want to learn. And if your choices are limited because of, fear of offending people, you're in big trouble in terms of a free society, because offense is what freedom is in some ways based on. I know that, new ideas create, a certain amount of people being uncomfortable in offense. And we have to kind of, make sure that there is a space for that. And plus we also have to deal with issues of, institutional racism, but let's deal with it in terms of reason and logic and the law, rather than potentially just censoring other voices because we don't like to hear them. And then that the Mizzou controversy, where the professor, a professor of media threatening a student reporter with physical violence, it just blew my mind. Did you see that video?
No, I did see that video. I did hear some things or read some things about it, but I didn't see the video itself.
Yeah, crazy stuff, but these are crazy times. And so this is, in my opinion, just another example of sort of, the crisis in higher ed, coming to the forefront. So yeah, check out the article. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, and absolutely, very good, very good piece. And the New York Times always write some very nice, interesting opinion pieces on this, whether you agree with them or not. Very interesting opinion pieces, especially on the changes that are happening within higher education.
Yep. All right. So I think that's, unless you have anything extra you wanted to add, that would be it for our public session, and then we'll go into the private session.
I'm all set. This week's been a good week. I think we've done a lot of work, and I'm very happy at how we're going. And we finally got the newsletter out, which is also very good.
Yep. I'm happy that the update went out, and pray for me December 11th. The dissertation defense is going to be fun. And then we'll get out. We'll create a place where everybody can get a chance to read it after it's just sort of gotten the final seal of approval. Which hopefully will occur right after the defense. So thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you next week at team meeting 84. We might be switching the time, either for an hour later, maybe at 11 Eastern Standard Time, but we'll let you know that in a couple of tweets and emails. So thank you all very much for tuning in. We'll talk with you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. See you online.